Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I'm Laura Milojevic. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development at Simplify Solutions. Today, we're excited to have our Senior Solutions Architect, Beth McBreen, discussing and demoing SAP Analytics Cloud for planning and how to visualize your variances. Also, when the webinar concludes, there's going to be a short survey that will appear. If you can, please fill it out. The feedback is great. We'd really appreciate it. So now I will hand it over to Beth and let her get started. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. Today's focus is going to be around more on visualizations within SAC as it relates to SAC for planning, kind of your comparative reports, and really how to take those comparisons and start to drill down, right? We want to see some of those variances, understand the root cause of those. And so I'm trying to, in this session, maybe turn your thoughts from looking at that typical report, right, where you can just have the drill down and you have your budget, your variance column. And of course, you can go down and drill and slice and dice your data that way to determine, what those lower level variances look like. Today, what I want to do is show you a couple different examples just to kind of get the wheels turning and thoughts around, using the visualizations as that vehicle instead of the standard kind of table or report format in SAC. So that's what we're going to cover today. Again, if you have questions and things like that at the end, we'll likely, if we have time, maybe we can answer them. If not, we'll wrap up and certainly I can assist you outside of this webinar. All right. Okay, so let's get started. Real quick, just to introduce myself as well as Simplify. If you haven't joined one of our webinars before, Simplify Solutions, we are an implementation partner. We focus on really, we're kind of this small niche, boutique firm, I'd say, that we focus really on everything finance, analytics. So FP&A, planning, reporting, consolidations. Our team members are really focused on not just, we have our technical integration team, of course, but many of us are also functional. We're CPA, MBA. We've worked within corporate finance for several years. So again, we really understand the finance side of it as well as we go in and design and architect these solutions for you. We're headquartered we have a corporate office in Chicago, as well as opened one up in Montreal. But obviously we have team members all over the place. But these are kind of our core competencies here on this slide. And then just to also call out what you'll see actually as part of the demonstration today, what I'm going to show you is some of the content that resides within our prepackaged solutions. So one of the things that I feel that we do very well within our content leadership team here at Simplify is we work to provide use case, focused prepackaged content, calculations, templates, model structures, all of those pieces that really kind of help you get off the ground with your SAC for planning journey, allows you to really kind of reduce that implementation time where we can come in and you can use it out of the box. We can do minor customizations to it based on your company, your industry, things along those lines. But again, just to call out some of the things that you will see in the demonstration today, probably some of the more nicer, I'm going to show you kind of from more boring reports to more flashy reports. So probably more of the flashy stuff are actually content that is embedded into a lot of our prepackaged solutions. So just to call that out, if you are looking for some support in that area, we'd love to help you. Okay, so with that aside, really today, again, I feel like this webinar is nice and focused. We're not talking broadly. What I really want to dial in as far as SAC for planning goes today, as I mentioned, is more in this visualization of your variance analysis. Right, taking your comparisons to the prior year, to budgets, to basically, and now we're looking at and trying to explain, right, what our variances are related to. So of course, this slide, the broader picture, you can kind of see all the great things that SAC for planning does. And we've certainly covered off several of them in other webinars. And again, today we're just going to really kind of focus, again, what I've been working with and companies that I've been working with quite a bit may be coming from that BPC environment. So if you're not familiar, right, SAP Business Planning and Consolidation is another solution that you can perform your planning, right, within your consolidations and so on and so forth. And companies are now taking a look at SAC and how maybe SAC can help extend the planning capabilities, right, outside of the finance organization, perhaps. They're also looking to, maybe shift completely over based on a lot of the functionality that SAC offers when it comes to planning, usability, flexibility, things along those lines. So with that, though, comes the, kind of that concept around Excel, and, BPC doesn't really have a lot of visualizations. And so some of the projects that I've done, when we've built reports and comparative reports, it has been just that. It's been really that report template within SAC. So again, that's what kind of fueled me to set up this webinar, is just to, hopefully get individuals start thinking of other ways as it relates to kind of your comparative reports, your variance analysis, from more of a visual standpoint, right? So that's kind of the background and why, I kind of chose to talk about this today. So again, a couple of quick other slides. You can see, this is looking at kind of the progression. You may have reports that maybe resemble these type of formats, right? The table report format within SAC that gives us those variances to, different comparatives, whether it be prior time periods, different data sets like budget or forecast, things along those lines. So where we want to start to look and to think about is actually visualizing them, right? And taking that a step further, and not, where I'm going to show you a couple examples as well that is, maybe some that are more geared towards a leadership team, right? That's still easy, for a leadership team to access a dashboard and do some simple filtering, or again, kind of drill down capabilities. But then there's also what I think when we look at dashboards, again, it's more of like, who's the audience, right? And the targeted audience for each one. So absolutely, as I mentioned, you may have leadership team based dashboards, but then you also may have one that's more functionally for the analyst, right? That wants to actually try and use the visualizations to drill down to, and then drill into maybe additional pages that have, further detail, and so I'll show you some of that today and how we can kind of utilize all that. Okay. So I am going to move over to our demo environment. And so I'm going to talk through, a couple different aspects, a couple different examples, and kind of progress through, and kind of from least flashy to most flashy, as I mentioned before. So as I said, when a lot of times when we're coming in and we're building out the first phase, say for financial reporting and SAC, it's not always necessarily the full-blown enterprise planning in SAC, but maybe out of the gate we're at least going to be doing the financial reporting and management reporting that relies on some of that comparatives that we want to see. So an example that I pull up here, right, is maybe what you're using today. Right, and so this is kind of usually out of the box, and you want to start using SAC and kind of see, okay, well, I have a basic comparison, and I have my accounts, and I have my company codes, right? And so yes, I can drill, I can expand into my personnel expenses, I can expand into my company codes, my entities, right, and get down to that lower level detail where I can see, particularly for this line item, like salaries for a particular company code. Nothing wrong with that. It does the job, right? Up on the top row here, you can see, we have different story filters. So you probably have either story filters or page filters that also assist in that slice and dicing of your reporting, right? So being able to kind of drill into your different parts of your P&L, again, kind of expand and collapse. All of that is core functionality of SAC and works just fine, right? So what I'm, again, just, as you start to utilize SAC a little bit more, it's being able to take advantage of what else is there, right? Outside of, just my report. So, taking just kind of this very basic report and making it look a little bit nicer, right? So what's also different is you may be utilizing SAC for like your financial reporting book, right? I have several companies that use that today, use it in that fashion today. So now we start, making sure that our report books, look clean, have nice formatting, and then in addition to that, we may have a little bit fancier functionality as it relates to, here we have, where we're comparing actual to budget, and we have kind of month to date, quarter to date, year to date. So all of this is embedded functionality, calculations. Maybe I just want a report that I need to send that's just on a year-to-date basis, right? I can kind of change those measures, right, that are set up as filters within the report. But I'm still using report, right? I mean, this is still that report template. Let me just go back to all here so we can see full version. So now you can see where we've moved from just story filters, where I have a combination of story filter as well as page filters, one that kind of has our measures that allows my report to be dynamic. So now we're moving from more of that like static report to a dynamic report that also is print ready and can be published, right? So if we need to publish this to send to external sources or other, we have that capability. We have the ability in all reports, right? These templates all give us that drill down capability. I mean, we now know, and if you're not familiar, that we can hide the expand options, because, if we're doing more print ready published reports, that of course is not something we typically want to see on our published report. But when I'm using it from an analysis standpoint and reviewing my variances, yes, I may want to expand and collapse different parts of my P&L, balance sheet, so on and so forth. So here we are again, table format. And I can bet if I go one step further, that you may even have, when we look at really core slice and dice analysis, trying to get down to understand like what one number may be or another, that you may have reports that look like this, right? Where we have several different, and I only chose 6 here. I kind of created this quickly to show, because I feel like many times this is what users are also using, right? They have, again, their variances, and then they'll load all of their dimensions kind of in their rows and be able to expand. So again, same, if I want to expand into my country, for example, and I say, okay, United Kingdom, I want to look at my product groupings within United Kingdom. I can see that I have my net sales selected here, right? So then I can see my personal care, expand even further, right? So into my hair products. And so now I can see between there, and I could expand into my customer group, but I can see hair within my retail channel, is performing better than expected. So again, that would be what I see quite a bit when right out of the gate using SAC. Is more of these type of drill downs, and to get to to identify different variances. So that is, and again, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That provides the purpose. I'm just here today to show you a little bit of a flip of that, and actually using some of the visualizations instead. So one of the, and I'll kind of compare, I'll use bridge reporting first, and then I'll show you a different dashboard in which we do some linked analysis, multi-linked analysis, where we can pull and filter different pieces of your visualizations and jump to different pages of your dashboard that may have additional detail. So that's kind of, we'll focus on some of those next. But again, just kind of wanted to show you the progression more from a report format, right? To kind of that table format view, and how at least those three versions are typically a lot of times what I'm seeing kind of out of the gate what customers are building, right, when they're building reports. So think of it this way, though, how much nicer, you know, it to have some visualizations. And let me change this so that I get a little bit more room. Okay. So here's another thought, right, is being able to now have things like bridge reports. So I had done another session on bridge reporting several months back. And so just to highlight it in this session as well, being able to create the bridges. This one is an example of a revenue bridge, right? Those are embedded calculations that we have and that we have created, right? So, but this kind of also gives you that visualization. We can see the walk from budget to actual, what the different variances are. We do incorporate things like, you know, we can put things like top customers that are related, where we can kind of see what those variances are. We can identify and go specifically to a segment. If I also wanted to, I can allow for different filters. For example, I open up my story filter prompt here. So maybe in this example, I'm doing revenue analysis, right? But I want to do it specifically on back to that like hand cream here. So if we just look at my products and I have a product grouping here, right? Automatically updates. Now, again, this is more from a, again, more utilizing those filters, but having the right appropriate points on my dashboard to see, right? So I was able to put things like top customers that may give me a little bit more detail. And again, then I can slice and dice my information. So again, I'll go turn this back to all. And I'll show you why this is important, because again, all the detail can be captured in a report or in a table format in SAC. So if I give you a different view, similar but slightly different, close it up. Sorry about that. OI, right? So similar, and I guess when we're doing the bridge reporting, you can see here for operating income, we're doing the bridge reporting and we're doing our PBM calculations as well, right? So we've got our volume, price, cost, mix. You can kind of see going down the road here. Same idea here, down to operating income. We're able to slice and dice by, again, could be customer groups, could be products. Here, instead of the top customers, we're putting what the most profitable products are, right? So again, different data points that we want to add that we can start to drill down and utilize. But in any event, when we talk about visualizations, I feel like the bridge reporting is an area that a lot of companies are starting to take advantage of more and more. It wasn't easy to do in a BPC solution. You could definitely do it and run the calculations, but here, once those calculations are run, it's very easy to set up that waterfall chart and pick those data points. Now, I can also, you know, certainly tie this back to, I see what my volume variance, my price variance, my cost variance, all those are calculations that we embed and that we run, right? So that's this page. This page doesn't look as pretty. It's maybe harder to follow, but just to kind of call that out, we could build, you know, here in this this box here where I have my actual bridge calculation. So I could put it in a report format, right? So my calculations are done. I can see that like my volume variance here is 151. I can see that my cost variance is 58. If I were to go back to my operating bridge, I can see here's my volume variance, 151, right? My cost variance, 58. So I don't know, personally, this is very difficult for me to read and for me to understand. When I look at it from over here, I can easily see, that I've got, issues within not necessarily how much I'm selling, but maybe with what the price that it's being sold at versus what we assumed it was in the budget. All right, so again, being able to visualize some of those variances, it's easier to kind of pick up on them, and then we can start to drill into different areas. Okay, so that was just, again, kind of a quick overview on the bridge reporting, because again, from a visualization standpoint and kind of embedding some of those calculations, as I mentioned, a lot of companies are really starting to take advantage of that within SAC. And specifically, our example here is actual to budget. We've done them actual prior year, quarter over quarter. Again, we've got had several different requests on how the bridge reporting should be specific to a company. Okay, so then let's talk a little bit more. I'm going to start over on this tab, and let's talk a little bit about, do that to give you a little bit more room. Some other, conceptually about, again, using dashboards, using graphs and visualizations to start to do that slice and dice, right? So now we're taking out that capability, still using filters. I'm not saying that the filters will necessarily go away, but between utilizing that and actually dynamically within the charts themselves, kind of gives you that a nice combination of analysis. So this view here is, but kind of going back to what I mentioned before, I think that should be dashboards for different targeted audiences. So you have this maybe more targeted towards maybe a leadership or, again, executive, where I am not really going to drill down too much. I want to see more of my KPIs. Maybe I want to change, right, my date range filter so I can look at a particular time period. Absolutely can do that. But you can see I have, I'm focusing on margin right now. Of course, I can have expenses and everything else included as well. But right now, just for our example today, I wanted to kind of keep it simple. So here you can see, again, identify KPIs, volume, sales, gross profit, right? What I'm giving them the ability to select is not different, where you may see up here where you could have 12 different filters for, to kind of slice and dice. But for me, that feels like more of for an analyst to do, to be able to, again, kind of filter down to look at certain things. This gives a nice clean approach to, here are my KPIs. I may want to see this by country. I want to see the same KPIs, but maybe I want to see them by customer group now, right? So now I'm viewing this, and now I can see, okay, my volume, sales, overall profit as it relates to customer group, products as well, right? So then I can kind of dial in there as well. So this gives me a little bit of a different, where I'm utilizing not, like I said, not now 12 different filters and trying to make the changes there. I'm really using a dimension selection here to keep it clean and allow kind of more of a high level as we have our KPIs identified here. So just to point out there, that would be my kind of recommendation standpoint from more of an executive dashboard. Now, when we want to talk more about, let's talk maybe a little bit more about utilizing dashboards for the detailed analysis. So here, now instead of having my core data points that I want to view, my volumes, my sales, now I actually have that centered up here, right, as a selection box. So I'm going to first dial into what I want to look at. And in this case, I'm going to look at net sales. Okay, I can set my sales org, I could set my company code. Again, those are just examples to point out that we still can utilize the filter functionality to get us to kind of slice and whittle down the data in a sense, as well as, as I mentioned before, we can look at like a particular date range, right? If I want to change that and look at one particular quarter, I'm just going to open it up and look at the entire year right now. But you see how, again, all of that dynamically changes as we just slide that range where we want it. And then I have a heat map and then a couple bar graphs here just to start to utilize. So here may be a couple situations here where I can see I have my customer groups, and I guess in each one of these, notice that in the more summarized view, right, but that I was calling that initial view, we have the dimension selection. Here I also have that, but now I'm doing that within each one of my graphs here, right, each one of my charts. And the reason why I do that is because I can, with doing more of a linked analysis, I can filter and select items here and then utilize another graph to drill down into another selection. Okay, and I'll show you how that works. But again, that is being able to start to utilize these graphs more as not just visualization and saying, oh, okay, here's, we're below with our business area, we're under budget. Our sales are under budget by 14%. How do we now start to use that and drill in and get more details around that? So couple things. One is what I would consider just with a single filter linked analysis. So you may be familiar, or maybe this is new to you, so I'm just going to cover this off real quickly. With linked analysis, doesn't matter how many different charts or graphs that you build within your page, when you will basically filter on a particular item. If I highlight supermarket, for example, notice that my other two bar graphs to the right, they automatically update. Okay, so now I'm seeing within supermarket, I can see net sales by business area and by distribution channel just by selecting my customer, within my customer group of supermarket. I can click off of that and everything resets. So again, it's like filter on, it filters everything. So it doesn't have to be one way. I can come here and then I can select commercial buildings, for example. Same idea, right? So now it's looking at for all of my net sales that fall within commercial buildings. Now it's showing me my different customer groups that reside within there, my different distribution channels that reside within there. So again, being able to do that kind of single linked analysis with whatever I end up choosing in any one of those bar charts will allow me to do that. Again, click on, click off, clicking back off will reset. Right? So I think it's also important to kind of identify the reset. So that's kind of what I consider maybe single filter, right? Just being able to, again, and you can select what any, for each one of these bar graphs now, you can also select what you want to see, right? So it doesn't have to be business area. You could have customer group here, you could have material group here, so you could select any one of your dimensions as, again, relevant to the analysis that you're doing. So just to give you like another example, but maybe with multiple filters this time. So I may want to, let's take an example of, change this to country. And then maybe this one's a little bit larger here. So I'm going to actually click on developed markets and I'm going to drill down into my country so that I can see what's within my developed markets. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and we'll select United Kingdom. So same idea, right? I can see that selecting United Kingdom now updates both of these. Now I can do a couple things. Let's say maybe I'm responsible for sales, and United Kingdom is basically my responsibility area. So I am taking a look at that region, that country, and I'm going to go ahead and filter this. right? So now this keeps it static. Now I only see United Kingdom in my heat map, and I can see my material groups here. Maybe over here now I want to go ahead and say, well, I want to see related customers. Okay, so I can change now I'm looking at, again, just United Kingdom. Now I've changed my dimension to customers. I'm going to go ahead and drill down because all customers doesn't really tell me much. Okay. And so now I can see all of my customers. Again, they're generic for the demo, but you can see all the different customers, and we have them also sorted here to kind of give us a better view. Okay. So now I can do additional, right? I can do a couple things. I could, if I wanted to, I guess maybe I'll try and reset and show you a different example as well. So this would be an example of using multi-filters across my different graphs. There's also the capability, before I jump to one other example, where now if I said, okay, United Kingdom, I see that I have a large variance here as it relates to this customer. There's an ability now where I can click on that customer, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to jump to my margin trend. Okay, so my margin, this is just to showcase kind of that functionality that we utilize a lot, is also going to be where, again, you're drilling down into these different charts. You have the ability where you can jump directly to another, another tab in your story, perhaps, that has different types of detail. So there we were just looking at net sales, remember, right? We were selecting one measure. Now I want more information specifically on this customer. So as you can see, if I draw our eyes kind of up to the top left here, that it basically carries the filter with me over to this page. So this is why when I get to this page, it's showing now only things for my customer 1008. Right, so I have the ability to, and again, this is just an example of some visualizations that we can put, and this we're kind of focusing on, okay, well, maybe we want to see more of a margin view, but for this customer, maybe there were other things that we want to consider. Maybe this would be a good place if we could put the bridge reporting in here, right? That would be a good spot for it as well, to see as it relates to sales where the biggest variances lie. So a lot of things that you can do, but the kind of core concept there is being able to start on one page, and then being able to actually drill down and then jump to another page and have that, have those filters actually carry through for you. So if I didn't have that customer filter on, then I would see, of course, a whole list of my customers listed here. So maybe that is the case. Maybe, if I went back and I selected just on UK, then it would have given me all the customers related to United Kingdom, and then I could go in and look at some specific detail for them on this tab. So different options based on how you would basically handle that. It's really kind of determines, again, how the company wants to look at and drill down. So you can easily reset. One thing that I didn't point out is that when you do some of the filtering, you can go ahead and remove the filters as well. We also talked about how the filters you can click on, click off. Those work as well. All right. Okay, so now I can go, and I think I was just going to showcase one additional, what I showed you there was, let me come back here. Let me drill into my material groups a little bit better. There we go. So we have a little bit more detail to look at here. The other thing to consider, similar to what we just did, was also looking at variances across, I guess this might be a better one to do. You can do across graphs, but you can also do within the same. So just to kind of point out here, I may have, let me turn off this customer so we see everything. Okay. If I go back and let's go back to my country. You also can do the same because I get this request as well. So if I want to, again, drill down into country. Okay, so here's now we're back to that example where I have, you know, United Kingdom or anything else. I can select, and as you see, as my filters continue to kind of update to the right, that I can go ahead and select United Kingdom, right? I can filter on that and say, okay, but now I can also do the additional within the same graph. Okay, so that's kind of important as well, because I get that question a lot. Well, okay, well, you know, am I allowed to do all this analysis just within one visualization versus having to use multiple? And the answer is yes, right? I can go in, I filtered on just UK. Now I have a view here and I'm saying, okay, I can see my gonna focus on maybe just within UK supermarket customer group, right? I can filter on that. Then I can come in and I can say, all right, now I want to look at just my customers. And then I can drill down onto that. So there's a lot you can do just from, excuse me, from a visualization standpoint, all within one graph or across and having them linked and doing multiple filters across them. So again, just wanted to spend a little bit of time today to kind of showcase and show you that where we can actually start, the analysts can start to use more of the visualizations. Then when you get to a point, of course, you can take, you know, maybe I change this back to customer, maybe business area. Let's see, distribution channel. Want to get something that looks a little bit nicer. There we go. So now you may be in a position where we have this information, you've done your drill downs, and you have very specific, and you want to go ahead and present this or show this, right? So now when you're trying to, I mean, obviously from a presentation standpoint, this is going to be well received. You can, if this is something that you just want to share with somebody that is also, you know, within the organization that needs to have this information or understand what's going on as far as some of those variances. Obviously, you have the ability to share this file, this page with somebody else. You can publish it, you can print it to PDF. There's a lot of different options to a PowerPoint slide. So there's lots of different options that you can do. And again, it is a different approach than, you know, just utilizing kind of a standard report, right? Kind of going back to, I could have done, you know, I could have done the same thing through here. But again, the visualizations is just another way to kind of approach it, and maybe a way that then you can present it to others. So that is really where I wanted to kind of wrap things up. I thank you all for your time today, and if I will reach out to you if there's any questions. And again, thanks for your time today. Have a good day.